I'm not sure if you remember it or not, but we've met at
of course,
Billboard Music Awards.
Yes, of
in
course.
2018.
Yeah,
do you remember?
Yeah, we took a photo.
We took a photo together.
I wanted to work then. First of all, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me as well. You know, I think that there's a huge benefit in writing and producing for other people. I'm pretty sure you may feel that way as well, but it allows me to go to places that I wouldn't go for myself. And as much as it feels like, you know, I may know what I'm doing when I'm doing songs that I'm, you know, featured as a solo artist, some people know, but most people don't know that all of my solo efforts have always been songs that I have written and produced for other people. In fact, when I try to write songs for myself or produce songs for myself, they always are too complex and seem much more like a puzzle than they do, you know, a jam, you know, like a bop. But I do those for other people. So for me, oftentimes my best stuff is the stuff that I poach back for myself. I don't know how it is for you.
In 2005, I was just an elementary school kid, and I just wanted to be a rapper. As I got to know what's rap, it's, you know, basically it's rhythm and poetry. I really felt attracted for this whole genre to, you know, send the messages to the world. Actually, it's really you know, embarrassing to answer about all this in front of my idol, but for me, it's really more comfy to, you know, mostly for me, I write somebody's lyrics or the melodies for other artists, not as many as you, but it feels like, you know, it gives me another avatars and characters.
Yes.
Yes. So when it comes to me, it's a complex, and it always comes with the pain, you know, to confess. But it's still the most important part for me.
I can relate to that. I think the pain part for me is probably the fun part, because that's like some of the most vivid paint that we can use as artists when we're like filling in what we want to be a powerful verse. It's like, okay, does it hurt enough? You know, or does it feel good enough? You know. So I understand you there when you say, you inject the pain in your verses to make sure that, like, you know, they're strong. I agree.
I was wondering the, you know, creative process, you know, how it's different for you yourself, like In My Mind or Girl, or, you know, between the, you know, songs you made for the others, like the singers or the rappers, or like clips, grinding, of course. I just wonder the difference, you know, from the scratch.
So when an artist walks in, they ask for something.
Like a track or a idea?
They'll say, you know, I just want something hard, or I want something darker, or I want, you know, something that's like for the club, like, you know,
banger.
You know what I'm saying? A banger, like. And so I'm considering what they're looking for, but I'm also thinking about like the texture of their voice, and the patterns and the melodies that they do usually. Then I think about how I can give them something very different than they've ever done before. And so when you mix all of that together, a lot of times, you know, an artist will say, man, that's a little different for me or whatever. And then I'll go ahead and reference it and, you know, sell it to someone else. And then like oftentimes that same person will come back to me and say, man, why didn't you play me that? And I was like, I did play you that, but they weren't hearing it in that way.
Wow, that's the fun part.
Yeah, that's the fun part. But then there are people who jump out the window and they go ahead and try it. Because my whole thing is just try it. We don't have to put it out.
Right.
But, you know, people are so good at what they do. Sometimes they're afraid to explore different parts of their voice, different parts of their personality, and different parts of their career. So, you know, they're a little like hesitant. But for the ones that do try it, they get to experience something new. And look, if we decide at the end of the day it's just not right for them, it's not right for them.
Right.
But you got to hear a different side. That's my favorite part of writing and producing for other people.
Like a challenging.
Yeah.
Like, so here comes another thing.
Okay.
I started to listen to music. I mean, like the hip hop music in 2005. I started with the Nas and Eminem.
Okay.
Of course, the classics.
Yeah.
But you know, as I get to know you, when I first listened to your song, especially, I just want to point out "Take It Off."
Yeah.
Because that's my playlist, one of the playlists.
Whoa,
so
that's crazy.
When I listened to it, I even translated it into Korean, and I just recorded once when I was I'm amateur.
Whoa.
So you know, when I listened to it, I just always been wanting to have the, you know, frequency, like, you know, because you always cross over this. These days, genre doesn't mean anything, but I think at that time, I think was like, you know, some rappers really criticize the rappers who sing or use the autotunes.
Right.
But I don't know, you started your career as a producer, or so you're like very natural for that. But I always wanted to have the frequency like you. Like, you know, sometimes it's just singing. It could be falsetto. Sometimes you rap. Sometimes you just sang the hook for the other artists, like Snoop Dogg. And so, how do you position yourself when you participate in the song as a player? Like,
wow. First of all, these are great questions.
Thank you.
And no one's ever asked me that. Believe it or not. Like, no, I've never had a journalist ever ask me that.
That really matters to me.
So, and that's like no cap. Like, you, believe it or not, no one's, and it sounds like they could have, and because it's such an obvious question, but no one's ever asked me that. So I'm blown away by that. Everything, I make decisions based off of feeling. I don't make them based off of convention.
I gotta rap, I gotta sing.
Yeah, it's just whatever it feels like it needs, and I'm gonna channel it as best as I can, because I'm trying to tell somebody else who's gonna be better than me to do it. And oftentimes what will happen was artists will be like, nah, we want you to stay on there. And I'll be like, no, but it's for this person. But I channel what I feel like is missing. And I forget that it's gonna be me, because if I think that it's gonna be me, then it won't be as good and I won't be as confident. I'm only confident knowing that I am giving the instruction and the directives to someone else. Like, for example, there's a record that I did with Mystical a long time ago called
Mystical.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, Shake Your Ass, right?
Ooh.
So when I did that record, I was thinking, like, you know, writing wise, you know, Chad and I produced it together, but when I was writing that hook, I was pretending that, like, Eddie Kendricks from The Temptations could do it. And I remember saying to them, oh man, you know, we're gonna get, like, you know, we're gonna get you know, the guy from the Temptations to do it. And they were like, nah, the record company wants you to stay on there. I was like, wait, what? So it was like this weird thing where, like, I started to realize that was my sweet spot, is when I channel other people and I surrender to what the music needs and not let my ego or my feelings get involved. And then I actually make better decisions, whether it's gonna be me on the song at the end of the day or not. Or another artist. I've filled in the blank and given them a different feeling. And oftentimes, sometimes I would be sharp, you know, when I'm singing on there, but it just felt good. And we would just leave it. So
I'm not sure if you remember it or not, but we've met at
of course,
Billboard Music Awards.
Yes, of
in
course.
2018.
Yeah,
do you remember?
We took a photo.
We took a photo together.
I wanted to work then, but I didn't want to you know, be aggressive. So I was like, let's just take a photo. But
you were nice.
But I really wanted to. I was like, yo, let's leave. I think we took a photo backstage.
Yeah, backstage in your room, actually.
Yeah, and then, like, I was working in a studio not too far off, and I really wanted to be like, yo, fuck all of this. No, you know what? Let me correct this, because I don't want your fan base to be mad at me using this kind of language. But man, I was like, man, I wanted to be like, listen, let's leave here right now and go make some great music, because I just loved everything that you guys were doing. I love your energy, and you know, I love what it is that you represent. You know, at such a time when, you know, our Asian brothers and sisters and, you know, fellow Asian human beings that maybe don't identify necessarily binarily in a binary way, you know, the Asian community has just been going through so much
these days, yeah,
and
gradually more and more.
The Asian community has given me so much, and I really feel like y'all's energy. You're also showing like artist periods, not just like not just in one specific genre, but I think you're just like also showing people that like you don't have to be, you can be humble. You guys, your energy is there's a lot of humility that you all vibrate. I think that's a great energy. What people don't realize is like when you have, you know, literally, you know, hundreds of millions of fans, and you encounter them, you know, 20 and 50 and 100,000 at a time.
Can't notice a single face, you know. It's just a mass.
Yeah, it's
MAS. That's not a.
It's a mass.
It's a mass,
and it is a massive voice, and it is a massive, using that word mass. It is a massive energy coming at you, and you say jump,
and then they jump,
and you sing, and they sing every word,
right,
and you know that you can feel through their voices that so many of their lives have been affected and changed because of something that you've done.
That's
I don't know how you do that, because I've had a couple songs do that, and then when I get out there and go sing it, that would make me cry because it was too much of a responsibility. Every time I get that close to that size and what I do as a musician, I always step back.
Oh, why? It's like, is it too heavy?
It's too heavy, man.
Too much?
It's too much of a responsibility. That's why I really revere people like yourself and, you know, your band members and other artists like B and J, and like, man, what y'all go out there and go face every night on that stage. It is humbling and it's overwhelming, and sometimes your nervous system got to be built for that.
Of course.
Let me ask you this: how do you deal after you come off the stage feeling electrified and shocked every night? How do you decompress, or do you decompress, or do you purge? Like, how do you do that?
It's, you know, my first performing was in front of like 10 people in some small clubs when I was like 15.
Okay.
And I like forgot most of the lyrics. So at that time, I just realized that, oh, I'm not a star type. I'm not a, you know, like a front man and, you know, could enjoy all this shit and just, you know, it's like Kurt Cobain or Mick Jagger. I'm not that type of. I'm just a human, just who loves writing music and just, you know, the energy. So every night, like for example, we had these stadium shows in Las Vegas last April. Yeah. It was 4, but like every night is a challenge. It's like same set list. You know, it's like maybe the same flow, sort of type, little different, but just like you said, that moment, like after we finished the first 3 beginning songs, and then we, you know, take out the earphones, and then like we just like, we're fucking back. It's like that's like everybody shouting out. At that moment, you know, that's when I really gets all the nerves, and like, you know, there's a different me persona for the next 2.5 hours. But before that, from the rehearsal and even in the plane, I got really nervous and, you know, like so responsible, because I really am aware of the stories that, you know, fans buy the tickets and they come from Brazil, you know, from Japan, Korea, like from everywhere. They just come there for just that one night. So it feels me like I have to pay back, you know. I have to offer them the best night ever in their lives. So it's a mess, and it's a too much energy. But I'm a human, and I really get nervous, and I really sometimes get depressed by, and even get swallowed by all the energies. But I'm trying, and I try to deal with it, because I'm a human, and I love the music. I love their love, because I think love is really happening when we give somebody, not we receive. Yeah, we take.
Yeah.
So I think it's more closer to the real love, I guess, personally. So I just want to give them back. They brought us from just a small city in Korea all the way back to the heart of this music industry, like Las Vegas, LA, New York. Me having an interview with Pharrell, it could happen because of fans all over the world. I'm just always grateful, and I just don't want to disappoint them. How do you position yourself? Like, you're a producer, yeah, you may be a rapper, you may be a singer, you may be a CEO, father, a husband. Like, of course, the name Pharrell explains everything, but except that, how will you define yourself? Like,
I don't know. I mean, I'm a public servant first.
Public servant.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that word.
Yeah, and when you serve the public, you're doing
something for public.
Yeah, and that's God's will. I'm a believer.
Oh, you're a believer.
Yeah, I believe the universe is real. For me, God is the universe. We're in the universe. And then, again, being a public servant, being, a father, a husband, and then music is like everything for me, because music's the skeleton key that's opened up every door.
Still music.
Yeah, it's like the center of everything, because without that, I wasn't able to do all the stuff that I'm able to do. And then I definitely have my struggles with having a lack of a sense of purpose, I think.
When?
Right around 2005, when I put out In My Mind.
In My Mind.
I just felt like,
right after that?
As soon as it didn't do what I wanted it to do, I mean, culturally, it made an impression, but it didn't do it egotistically. It didn't perform the way I wanted it to, chart-wise. Like, it just didn't do what I was used to at that time, and that really hit me hard. So that made me start to think about like purpose and things having real, true DNA, and not just aesthetic perversion, but like real, true, like meaning, and something that could be meaningful to people, but at the same time still fun. And I've always loved the girl, so that was always going to be a part of it. But so I understand what that is. I know what it's like to hit that place in your career, and for whatever reason, and you guys are doing fine. But I think, from what I'm hearing and what I'm understanding, you guys hit a place where you were like, what are we doing? Who are we? Are we who we said we were?
Right.
And as you think about who you are and you think about what you mean and what your intentions are, it's like also kind of determining who you want to be. I mean, how's that feel? Like, where are you in that process right now? Because you're working on a solo record, right?
Yes, like 90% of the work is done.
Okay.
I've released some mixtape as one of the member of the band, but I think it was just like experiments. I think this time it's maybe my official first solo album.
Okay.
That I could feel enough.
Okay.
I don't know it's gonna be like, I don't know if I would feel like you after In My Mind or not, but I think it'll happen after when I release it. Yeah. So I'm just dependent on the time, but it's been just like 10 years after we had our debut as a team. So K-pop is all about the band and the groups. And actually, I told you, I personally started my career as a rapper and as a poet. Yeah. So that was a tricky part actually, because the K-pop is like a mix. Yeah. It's like the mix of American pop music, all the visuals and the choreos and social medias and stuff. It's really intense and really hectic. So it has some pros and cons of its own. So after 10 years, I think it was not our intention, but we took it. But we actually became a sort of a social figure. So, you know, a K-pop band going to have a speech at the UN, or, you know, meeting the presidents. It's like, I think I was really confused that I'm what am I, like a diplomat or what? So
yeah.
I was just like a small rapper and lyricist when I was young, like from the scratch. So, so it was 10 years really intense as a team, and I actually was in charge, like almost all of the interviews, and you know, representing the team like in front of the other members. That was my stuff, I guess, role.
Yeah.
So I think I got really I don't know, like, yo, I gotta stop this for a bit. Yeah. I gotta shut it down and just, you know, fall from it away, and then just see what's going on. You know, making my mind really calm down. Yeah. And then I think, so that's how I got to concentrate on my just solo. And these days I really have been thinking about the 15 when I first listened to you. You know, the first feeling and the vibe and the reason why I started, why I chose music to, you know, for my whole life, I guess. So yeah, when I started my music, I was like 14, and now I'm like 28. So it's like just the half. It's like, you know, it's like way shorter than you. So I'm in that process. So it's really tricky and confusing, and I just don't know what's going to happen. So if you could give me any advices, because you were in the band, and you are in the band, and you done the band. It's different from the K-pop, but you've done a lot of projects, like, of course, NERD, Neptunes, and, you know, of course, your solo. Yeah. So, like, any thoughts about?
You know, being in the Neptunes, being in NERD, and having a solo record really helped me, because it you know, you do one thing, then you take a break. You do another thing, then you take a break. You do another thing, then
switch
you take
modes.
A break. Yeah, and it allows me to like put on different hats and put on different masks. So I understand that, and I know like having that departure is going to make it really fresh for you. I think it's good for you to do that, because then when you come back to it, you know, to the group,
team.
I think it's going to be, to the team, I think it's going to be super fresh. You're going to have a whole lot of ideas. I would just say continue to move forward, continue to be curious, and don't put any kind of necessary pressure on what it is that you do by saying, you know, no absolutes, like, oh, I will never do music again, or I will never, I wouldn't do any of that. I would just...
No nevers.
No nevers. Just stay along for the ride. Just keep going.
Like cruising.
Yeah, and just see where you end up, because it's really interesting.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
It was a bless.
Pleasure's mine.